What's up, everyone? I hope you're doing well. I have seen so many questions that people have about skill-based matchmaking, MMR, and the new ranking slash grade system that we just got in Dead by Daylight last week. And I wanted to cover those topics in hopefully a short video just to help kind of make it a little bit more clear with everybody. I want to start first with the new grading system. I have to think about not saying ranking because it's no longer called a rank, it's called a grade. So the grade, you're going to have a different grade as normal. Think of it as your old rank, essentially, except it has nothing to do with the matchmaking process anymore, like old ranks used to. Your survivor and your killer, they even say grade up here now, are going to have separate grades. And there's going to be 5 different color categories. So you have ash, bronze, silver, gold, iridescent. Within each of those, you also will have 1 through 4, with 4 being the lowest of that grade color, 1 being the highest. How this is going to work is on the 13th of every month, we are going to have a grade reset. So today, as I'm posting this, grades will reset. Everybody is going to go back to Ash grade 4, and you're going to have the entire month to play and rank back up as high as you can. Wherever you end up at the end of the month, so on October 13th when it resets, you are going to get blood points gifted to your account, and it is going to count for both survivor and killer. You can earn a maximum of 250 blood points per side by reaching iridescent grade 1. Now, that seems like a big grind because it's essentially going from 20 to 1. However, they did change the depipping process of it. So you cannot de-rank or degrade at all. You can still lose pips, but only if you have pips to lose within the grade you're at. So as an example here, I'm killer grade iridescent 3. I'm 1 pip away from iridescent grade 2. I can lose pips because I have 4 pips already. I can lose those. If I have 4 really bad matches, those can go away. However, if I have a 5th really bad match, I will not degrade or de-rank back to 4. I am stuck at 3 and I can only go up or stay at 3. So if I earn 1 more pip, then I will go to grade 2. And at that point, I can no longer go back to 3. So essentially, they just turned this into, rank was always a grinding system, as a lot of it was based on like how much you play in that month to begin with. It's just even more of a grinding system. So the more you play, the more pips you're just going to earn in general, even if the matches are harder, or more challenging, which skill-based matchmaking is going to cause for a lot of people. It's going to be just basically measuring your time spent in the game. So right now, like I said, I'm at grade 3. I can't go any lower. I'm never going to de-rank to 4. I'm never going to de-rank back to gold until this actually fully resets and everybody goes back to Ash rank 4. That said, the emblem system has not changed. So the ways in which you earn pips is still the same. So if you want to pip up, I'll make a separate video on the emblem system someday as far as how the emblem system works and what you need to do to actually earn pips and what can cause you to lose pips. So, but that's just so you can understand. So there's really no risk at all. It's just a time spent. The more you play, the more pips you earn. You'll eventually rank up. You're not going to ever de-rank. Whatever you're at is not the highest you can be unless you're at rank 1, but it's the lowest you'll be at that point in time. Now let's talk about skill-based matchmaking and MMR. So SBMM is skill-based matchmaking. MMR is matchmaking rating. Sorry. So behind the scenes, you have a score, and you don't know what your score is. You're never going to know, as far as how behavior is provided with us, you're never going to know what your score is. You're never going to know what other people's scores are. But the goal with the skill-based matchmaking is to take everybody's MMR and put people together in a match who are close in score, because the score is measuring their overall skill at the game. Now, what does that mean? We don't actually know, because behavior is not transparent in telling us what attributes to skill. For killer, is it just, we know it's not just kills and survives, because they did that with the first test and they owned up to it being an atrocious way to measure, and they said they were going to put in more data sets. But we don't know what it includes it. You'll hear people saying, oh, it counts about the time you spend working at a gen, how long your chases are, how many hooks you get, how long you're in a match, which are valid theories. I would probably consider similar things. I would imagine a lot of the factors of the emblem system play into what constitutes skill. However, it comes down to, we don't actually know how behavior is measuring skill in the game. But what we do know is you're scored. And whatever that score is, the system is just going to go ahead and put you with people as close to that score as it can. The longer the queues are, the more variance it's going to get. Now, with that said, in the background, the game has been collecting data since the last test to create a score for you. But that data is based off of the old system, where you are matched based off of rank, which could be anybody. The rank-based matchmaking offered a variance of up to 8 rank levels in difference. And also, if you were in red ranks at all, there's a very high variance of skill, especially at rank 1, because, again, like I said earlier, rank is in part just a time grind of people spending more time in the game than others. A lot of it can be skill, but it's also time. So you have people who are truly very, very high skilled players who are rank 1, and then you have people who just played enough and were decent enough that they got to rank 1, but they were not the same skill level as other players in rank 1, right? So that was a big flaw with the old system, but it caused a lot of variation in matches. Because of that variation, you have players who are getting easier matches than they should have for their skill, and sometimes even harder matches than they should have for their skill. And that skews the initial data that is working on this. So, with that in mind, your first matches that you play with skill-based matchmaking are going to feel weird, probably. You may be lucky. They may feel just challenging enough and comfortable for you, and if that's the case, you're lucky, because that's not the case for everybody. That said, it is going to even out the more you play. The more you play, the more data it's going to collect. And I think it's just important to drive home the fact that if you're getting very challenging matches, that really stinks. I understand that's incredibly frustrating, but because of the new grading system, you're not going to derank. So try not to stress out over it, and just know that the more you play, it will even out your MMR into what it truly should be and put you in more even matches over time. But this first round, because it's based off of data from the old ranking system, is going to be really skewed. Now, for MMR, you do have technically 3 different MMRs. You have one for your survivor gameplay, which survivors are all pretty much identical. You could have different builds on different survivors, but they all play the same. There's not a variance of skill level between how you play the survivors, because there's no powers to put into place, right? So you have a matchmaking rating as a survivor. You also have a baseline matchmaking rating as a killer, and that is so that you, for example, like I own Pinhead, but I've never touched him. If I were to go and play Pinhead, but I have no data on Pinhead, if I didn't have a baseline killer MMR, it would put me against brand new players to the game. But I have over 1,500 hours, and that's incredibly unfair to them, because I do have some game experience. So it does account for some of that experience, but it is still going to give you a lower MMR and a newer killer. So basically, you're going to start at that baseline of whatever it skills you as a general killer. From there, you're also going to have a third MMR per killer. So I'm really good with twins and pig, apparently, because that's how I got all the way up here. So these are going to be, and they're all the only ones I've played since the last test, actually. So these are going to be my 2 higher MMR killers. Everyone else is going to be pretty low. My Huntress is going to be absolutely atrocious. Same with my Nurse. I'm terrible at both of them. Um, so they're going to have much lower MMRs. And the individual killer MMR is going to be the higher priority when it comes to matchmaking. The baseline killer MMR that I was talking about, again, is really just for when you have a killer that you have no experience in, because they don't have any data on how I play Cenobite. So they just need a little bit of something to avoid me going against somebody who literally just bought the game yesterday, because again, that's not fair to that player. It's also not fair to me, because if I play against players of that level, it's going to suddenly think like, oh, you're a god at the game, and then I'm going to get the most sweatiest people to play against, which I don't want, because I don't play sweaty. But yeah, so you do have those 3 MMRs, but I think the thing to keep in mind in particular is that each killer does have an individual MMR. Depending on how much you've played the killer since the last time they did a test can definitely affect it, as well as last time you've played Survivor and how often you played and what kind of data they've gathered since the last test. And I just want to reiterate, it's going to be rough these first couple of days, maybe even a couple weeks for a lot of people, evening out the MMR, because it's like I said, it's the data that they're going off of is based off the old ranking system, which had nothing to do with skill. And then again, if anybody tells you what behavior is measuring to give you an MMR, they are guessing. They're going to talk confidently as if they know. They don't. Nobody knows, because behavior is not transparent with it. Maybe one day they will be, but I doubt it. But until then, just play comfortably. If you want to sweat, sweat. If you don't want to sweat, don't sweat. Um, I don't even know. Like, what am I running on? This is a pretty sweaty fucking build that I have on playing. Versus, I think my twins, I just have like a chasing build. Yeah. I mean, I have pop, but I never use it. I honestly, I should just put on haunted or something fun. Um, yeah. So play sweaty if you want to play sweaty. If you just want to chill and just play whatever matches, do that. If you're not stressed about losing, don't worry. Like I said, you're never gonna degrade anymore. That's never gonna happen. Um, and you can just play comfortably, and eventually your MMR will even out into more fair matches that are a little bit challenging, but hopefully not overwhelming and also not overly too easy. So, if you guys have any other questions about skill-based matchmaking, let me know in the comments. I would love to answer any other questions you guys might have about this. And yeah, I'm open to a follow-up video. I'll see if I can pull something together to kind of explain the emblem systems too, to help people kind of be able to get as many points as they can during reset. So that'll be nice. But yeah, I will talk to you guys later, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.